we're going to start a little bit differently this week. I got a question that I just answered live in my boot camp training with my THM boot campers. And we're going to talk about it really quickly here too, because I think it's important. I was asked who should be doing Trim Healthy Wisdom and who should be doing what with Trim Healthy Wisdom. So the way that I look at Trim Healthy Wisdom is that it's designed to help you protect your body against future weight loss resistance. It's incredibly beneficial for that no matter what season of life you're in. Okay, so that's the first thing that I want everyone to take away from Trim Healthy Wisdom when you read this book. There are many, many, many helpful things in there depending on what season you're in life and where you are coming from, what hormonal season you're in. And generally, when I'm working with my THM clients, we're looking at, okay, first let's get you 100% on plan. And that's why we've got so many people in my boot camp who've never been able to stay 100% on plan before. All those testimonials that are like, I'm doing it, I'm on plan, I've been on plan for months, I've been on plan for years. All of that is step number one. So if you're not fully on plan, that's step number one, because a lot of people, in fact, the majority of people I work with, getting 100% on plan is the key to reaching their goals, to getting trim and healthy. And when you're 100% on plan, then I think, you can start doing the Wizzy shakeup and the things that we're going to get into a little bit later into this Trim Healthy Wisdom book study. Before that, though, there are things like what we're talking about today, like wisdom is sour, wisdom is dairy discerning, and wisdom is methylating in chapters 14 through 16. Those general principles, the wisdom principles, those can be implemented anytime, absolutely anytime. But as you're implementing them, if you feel stressed, if you feel overwhelmed, if you feel like you really need to pull back and get back to basics of just staying on plan, do that. Add this stuff in later if you need to. Don't neglect it. But if you're a drive-through Sue and you're like, I can't do all these things right now, I get that. That's fine. You can do THM in survival mode. In fact, that's my specialty, is doing, getting you fully on plan so that you're prepared for everything, so you eliminate all of your excuses in your life for going off plan. That's what boot camp is all about. But then we start implementing some of these stubborn weight things. We start implementing the wisdom principles. Then we get into the wisdom shakeup. We deal with stubborn weight, all that stuff. So don't feel overwhelmed by this. Look at it as an opportunity. When you have the opportunity to add some of these wisdom principles in, do it. Just like THM in survival mode does not always include vegetables, although I give you tons and tons of hacks for easy vegetables in my boot camp, it doesn't always give room for vegetables. Life doesn't. We don't always have time to have tons of vegetables. So what I recommend is anytime you have the opportunity, look at your plate, say, how can I make this better? How can I make this prettier? How can I make this more colorful? How can I make this healthier? And maybe that's when you can grab a carton of lettuce and just add a handful to your plate, or some other veggies, or a veggie tray, or you can microwave something, or you can do something to make it a little healthier. These wisdom principles, same thing. Anytime you have the opportunity, look at your plate. Can I add something sour? Can I methylate here? Can I lighten up my density a little bit? Can I be more discerning with my dairy? When you have the opportunity, these things are very, very doable. Okay, but they're not something to stress you out. They're something to add in when you can. So your first goal always on THM is eating on plan, eating on time, and getting your protein in. Now, if you need help with protein, I have a $7 masterclass coming up. I'm going to teach you all of my protein hacks to make protein way easier on THM. If you've ever felt like, oh my goodness, this is a lot, how am I going to get this much protein in? We make it easy. So if you're interested in that class, I will post the instructions for signing up in the description of the video. But today, when we're talking about chapters 14 through 16, there's a lot. And one of the things that I really love about these chapters is they talk about exactly why these things are beneficial. So I learned a lot from these. The 4 core that they talk about, the raw apple cider vinegar, the fresh lemon juice, the kefir, the baobab, these are all incredibly powerful foods that you can add very easily without a ton of effort and without a ton of stress, that can have huge, huge benefits for your body. So if you read through these chapters and you're like, oh, I'm not really getting those in very well, the easiest way to do them is to use the burner shots in the book. If you haven't tried them yet, I highly recommend it. So Trim Healthy Wisdom When you buy the book, you get a link to their recipe collection, the Wisdom Recipe Collection, or the WRC. And in the WRC, they've got all of these burner shot recipes. So I've tried all of them. My favorite is the Down the Hatch one. Very easy. And I'm going to give you guys the same disclaimer that I gave my boot camp group, my THM boot campers. I was just live with them. As a precursor to this, before the book came out, I spent months and months and months trying to regulate my blood sugar. I ended up doing it maybe a year and a half ago. I got my blood sugar level steady, got my A1C down, using a lot of the things from the podcast that are now in the Trim Healthy Wisdom book. They're things I've done with my clients. And I thought on my own, without any instruction from THM, that I had read that the apple cider vinegar before a meal can help lower your blood sugar. So I started doing, like 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar in a little water before every meal and snack, or at least like 2 or 3 a day. And I gave myself an ulcer. And I'm not saying that 100% that's what it was, but when I told my gastroenterologist that I'd been doing that, he was absolutely horrified. These burner shots are a much better way, much better way to get something sour in. So if you are feeling like you are wanting to get some of these things in and, kind of wanting to try them on your own, I definitely recommend trying Trim Healthy Mama's burner shots instead, for a little bit of a gentler way to work these sour foods in. But we want to be eating sour things. So anytime you have a moment to mix one up, it really does not take that much time to get the burner shots in. They are pretty simple and easy, and pretty tasty too. I really like a lot of them. So if you have a chance to make a burner shot, give that a try. I committed at first, and I did this challenge with a few of my clients, my THM clients, to have one once a day for a week to see how we felt. Every single one of us continued with it. Every single one of us thought they were great. So give it a try, see what you think, try the different flavors, see what tastes best to you, what you enjoy the most. But I like to do the food piece preloader before lunch, usually, because that's when I just want to eat and eat and eat. I usually don't feel full after lunch, so it's hard for me to stop eating. So my routine now is the food piece preloader before lunch, and then a burner shot before dinner. That's my routine. Absolutely love it. If you haven't tried those yet, I recommend giving them a try. So the burner shots do incorporate the 4 core metabolic fire ingredients that they reference here. They're designed to, help you with your blood sugar, inflammation, nurture your immune system. They provide antioxidants and micronutrients. They're very helpful, but they're not mandatory. You don't have to have burner shots. They're just an easy way to work these things in. So something to consider, something to think about. If you're able to work these in, the burner shots are an easy way to do it. I like to have a cup of kefir, homemade kefir, the low-fat kind, with a scoop of essential after a workout. That's another easy way to work it in. I've been adding fresh lemon juice and apple cider vinegar to salads, just a little bit extra to kind of get that sour going. So I loved the sour chapter. Wisdom is sour. Wisdom is also dairy discerning. We all read that this week too. And the common dairy that they're talking about is the dairy that a lot of us have. We have the sour cream, the cheese, the heavy dairy sources that generally don't do our bodies any favors. That's what we're cutting out in the wisdom journey a little bit more. We're pulling back. We're not completely cutting them out, but we are able to reduce those quite a bit so that we're keeping them to a light S setting more. And I know that's something I've been doing with my clients for the almost 7 years that I've been coaching. And that has always gotten absolutely fabulous results. And I think that is something that anybody could really try. Reducing dairy is something that if dairy is causing inflammation for you, then you might see even faster results from that. But that's something that can just be really helpful. When people come to me and they're like, hey, I've been on plan, but I'm not losing weight, the most common things that I see are they're not getting their e-meals in, which are absolutely necessary for health and weight loss. I won't be convinced otherwise. And they're not getting their S's in the right ratio that they need to be. A lot of them are having too many heavy S's. whenever someone's stuck or stalled, those are the first two things that we work on. So if you feel like you're stuck or stalled, these are great places to start. And with the dairy discerning wisdom chapter, they get into which fats are a little bit healthier and which ones aren't. We talk about adding sour to our cottage cheese and Greek yogurt and having lighter dairy. So even above your deep S, which has kind of been the gold standard, now we're having the light S, which makes a lot of sense as you're reading through this. You know, they really explain that for some people it's just too much to get a lot of heavy dairy in. And we also want the healthy gut bugs that we get from some of these superior discerning sources of dairy, like getting your Good Culture or Nancy's cottage cheese, your 0% Greek yogurt, your homemade kefir. Those are the things that tend to change your gut microbiome and have the best benefits. So as you're reading through that chapter, I think that there is a lot of really great benefits, but if you jump back to some of the kefir information, like even in the Wisdom is Plant Strong chapter, they talk about what, you know, systems are turned on and off by your getting these healthy foods in. So they're definitely worth it. The gut benefits, all of it, I highly recommend it. And with kefir, they recommend that we start a little bit slow and use it kind of gradually so that you get used to it. The last chapter we covered this week is Wisdom is Methylating. So our methylation system, as Trimhealthy Wisdom describes it, is the conductor that tells your body to play all of its instruments together in harmony with each other. Sometimes our bodies can struggle a little bit, especially in perimenopause, and so we want to be including some of these methylating foods to help our bodies, to make sure that our genes are, you know, maybe genes that are misbehaving are not getting turned, you know, the wrong direction. So they're basically saying if your body is a symphony, if your body is all, this is a great analogy that they have that I'm butchering, but let's say methylation is the maestro of your body and he's conducting everything, then we want to make sure that that maestro is able to do his job well with these methylating foods. And perimenopause is definitely a time where everything can start to lag or miss beats, as they say in their analogy. So there's a lot of science here. We talk about the importance of folate in this chapter. We talk about abnormal methylation, and if you want to methylate properly, getting that plant strong approach and your wise proteins will do it naturally. So that's one of the great things. And again, I love that there are so many great resources in this book that talk about the science behind it and cite studies and all of that. So the foods that you want to focus on for methylation are your asparagus, your dark leafy greens, your lentils and beans, beets, fruits, lacto-fermented vegetables, kefir, seeds and nuts, liver, brewer's yeast. And then for choline, we want things like egg yolks, quinoa, chicken, turkey, cauliflower, all those things. There's full lists in the book. And then they talk about some kind of methyl adaptogens that you can add, which are things like quercetin and other things that are difficult for me to pronounce, that you can find in green oolong and matcha tea. You can find in berries, you can find in quinoa. All the different ones are in all these different things. So when you're looking at methylating, there are a lot of really great resources there. They talk about vegetables, quinoa, purple and red veggies, garlic, onions, oregano, basically a lot of super healthy foods that can help you. And the villains that they cover at the end of the chapter is basically sugar and kind of over supplementing that can maybe be causing some issues. So it's something to pay attention to. So the questions that I had posted are, have you noticed any changes incorporating fermented foods or sour foods? Have you changed your dairy at all after reading these chapters? Are you trying any methylation supports here? And what fermented foods do you enjoy the most? And I really encourage you to try some fermented vegetables, some different dairy options, and try making kefir. Try doing something to support that sour at home on your own. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. That was chapters 14 through 16. We have a lot more coming. We're just breaking down Trim Healthy Wisdom a couple chapters at a time and reading it together. So I'd love to hear from you if you're reading along, and let me know how it's going. I will talk to you soon. Bye.